by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Your hosts are Joseph and Madison Whalen, a father and daughter team making their way through the challenges of the teenage years.
Welcome to Insights into Teens. This is episode 189, Technology Addiction. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my creative and insightful co-host, Madison Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing today, Maddie?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Doing as well as it can be with another 80-degree day out there.
Fair enough.
We have a little bit of background noise today. We actually cranked up the air today in the studio here, so for those of you listening live, I apologize for that. We'll filter that out in post. We can fix anything in post, right?
Usually.
So how you been? It's been a couple of weeks since we did a podcast. What's going on? Anything new?
I'm not really sure. Just trying to get through life and so forth.
Wow, that's deep.
Okay, didn't mean it to be like that. I'm just going, I guess.
So today we're going to talk about technology addiction, which I consider myself a subject matter expert on, just putting that out there to begin with. Mm-hmm. I've been addicted to technology for quite some time now.
As you can see.
Well, yeah. So technology addiction parallels drug addiction in terms of its impact on the brain. Over 90% of teenagers engage with addictive technology like social media and video games. And approximately 50% of teens acknowledge feeling addicted to smartphones. On today's episode of Insights into Teens, we'll talk about this serious issue and how to combat it. But before we do that, I want to take a moment to invite our listening audience to subscribe to the podcast. You can find audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Teens. You can find video and audio versions of this and all the network's podcasts listed as Insights into Things. And you can find us anywhere you can find a podcast: Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, etc. I would also invite you to write in, give us your feedback. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can find us on X, formerly Twitter, at Insights_Things. Or you can get links to all that and more on our official website at www.insightsintothings.com. Are we ready?
Sure.
Here we go. So what is technology addiction? It seems pretty straightforward from the term. Numerous studies have established a parallel between tech dependencies and drug addiction, revealing comparable effects on the brain. Alarmingly, over 90% of teenagers are engaged with social media and video games, two prominent sources of addictive technology. Strikingly, around 50% of teens openly acknowledge being addicted to their smartphones, indicating a significant concern.
Although not officially classified as a disorder in diagnostic manuals, tech addiction goes by various names such as internet addiction disorder, compulsive internet use, and eye disorder. But, as in the tech eye, not R.
The letter I, not the body part I.
Estimates suggest that nearly 38% of individuals in the United States and Europe might grapple with tech dependence. Research underscores that technology usage triggers brain pathways similarly to how significant substances affect drug addicts. Notably, activities like gaming and social media release endorphins and dopamine, driving cravings for more stimulation. The continuous overstimulation also induces a fight-or-flight response, disrupting biological and hormonal symptoms and potentially leading to mood and mental health disorders.
In a pivotal move, the World Health Organization recognized gaming disorder as a mental health condition in 2018. The consequences of technology on mental health extend beyond addiction to encompass issues like teen depression and anxiety. Intriguingly, adults with a history of substance abuse are prone to technology addiction, highlighting a link between various forms of addictive behaviors. Research indicates that teenagers exhibiting internet addiction are more susceptible to substance abuse and eating disorders. This highlights the interconnectedness of different addictive behaviors and substances, emphasizing that the propensity for addiction transcends specific contexts.
Safeguarding teenagers from the pitfalls of technology addiction requires a comprehensive approach that acknowledges its neurological underpinnings, mental health implications, and its potential to intersect with other forms of addiction. Raising awareness about tech addiction, fostering healthy technological habits, and encouraging open discussions around digital well-being can contribute to a more balanced and sustainable relationship between teenagers and technology.
So how much time do you typically spend? I know you're not a social media person, but how much time do you typically spend on social platforms or playing video games each day?
Well, typically, I guess like maybe 7 hours watching videos and then like 2 to 3 hours for video games.
Now, do you feel anxious or uncomfortable if you're unable to access your smartphone or the internet?
Well, I guess it depends on the situation. If I'm alone in my room, I'm not like that anxious because I'm alone in my room. I'm comfortable there. I don't really need to be I don't need to be on my phone constantly in my room. It's just, regardless, I can find ways of, keeping calm. But if I'm in a major social situation where there's a lot of people around me, maybe I'm riding the bus or something, I don't really like not having to listen to music. There's some instances I'd be fine with it, but if it's a really crowded area and I can't really listen to it, my anxiety kind of goes through the roof.
Now, is that a coping mechanism for other sources of anxiety for being in crowded areas and stuff like that? Or is it more like a comfort blanket to you?
I think I kind of use any form of technology as a way to get back into a comfort level, because usually even when I go to school and so forth, I have heightened anxiety for a variety of reasons. And I think I associate technology as a way to get away from the world and kind of either go into another reality or just focus on something else so that I don't have to focus on whatever was making me anxious.
That's interesting. So your use of technology is more an isolating move than it is as a social outreach type thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and there are a few times that I use it to talk to friends and so forth, but for the most part, I kind of use it to get away from people is probably the best explanation I can give.
So then I guess this next question I want to ask is kind of answered already, but have you noticed changes in your mood or behavior that correlate with your use of technology? And it sounds like for you, it's a positive thing for you to help you cope with other anxieties. Is there any other mood altering or behavior altering effects that you've seen from technology?
I mean, if I see something that could bring up some sort of news thing or something that mentions something that happened in a news article or something, that typically can bring my mood down, because instead of focusing on a different reality or focusing on someone else, a commentary sort of thing or something, I am now back in reality and I'm hearing something that's happening in the world around me, and it's oh, I don't like that.
Interesting. Well, I joked at the top of the show that I'm a subject matter expert on this, and I really am. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that I have an addiction to technology. You kind of can tell that, especially on long trips, by the amount of technology that I pack up and take with me. But it's a serious thing. And the studies that we talked about here kind of parallel how the addiction to technology is indicative of addictive behavior in general. And I have an addictive personality. Obviously, you look at me on the screen, I have eating issues. I have weight issues from eating. So I'm addicted to food as much as I'm addicted to technology. So there's definitely a parallel, and there's credence to that. Do you think that the way that you use technology, that you're addicted to technology or not?
I guess it kind of depends. Like there's certain things, like, I guess the best example I can give right now is kind of video games, where, well, it's different when it comes to different forms of technology. Because, like, with video games, I can get sucked into it and stay in there for, like, hours. But then it's like when I have free time and, like, the thought of playing a video game pops up, I'm like, I don't really want to do that right now. But then when it comes to, like, watching YouTube videos, I kind of, like, almost absently do it, and like I do think I'm at least addicted to that, because it's like I always have to find my phone because it's like I want to watch something and it doesn't even really matter what it is half the time.
Well, I mean, to kind of go down that path, you don't watch a lot of television. I mean, you've got a TV in your room. You don't watch it very often. Most of your media consumption is on your phone. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So in that case, I think it's probably a different use case scenario for you, where I think what they're largely talking about here are people that are addicted to social media, that have to get in there and see what their friends are doing and see what the updates are and reach out to them through that. Or, they're tied to a video game playing online with their friends for hours. It sounds like that's not the case with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, not really, because, again, when it comes to, like, social media, like, sure, there are certain YouTubers I watch that, like, if they have a new video, I'll watch it, but half the time it's like, the thing is, I actually watch videos on both my tablet and my phone, and for some reason my tablet now, like, I'm not able to, like, randomize, like, the videos don't randomize for me, and I have to actually search stuff up, and it's like, it's weird not having it randomized, because, like, I can still have it on my phone, so I've been using my phone for that sort of thing, unless I have a specific thing I search up. And, like, I feel like that's the randomization I get out of it, but it's not really, like, a checking up so much, unless it's for, like, specific people I watch. It's really just like okay, let's see if there's anything interesting.
It sounds almost like you use your phone, you use your YouTube connection like most people watch television. So I don't think it would kind of fall into the same criteria that we're talking about with the technology addictions that we have here, which for your part is a good thing.
I guess so, yeah.
It's one less anxiety causing thing for you to worry about, because it sounds like it's an escape for you. It sounds like it's a healthy thing the way you use it. That's good. You got one up on me there. I mean, I don't do, like, my thing is I don't do social media.
Most of the time.
For the most part, I'm on LinkedIn and stuff like that. I very rarely touch Twitter or X anymore. And I hate logging into Facebook. Occasionally somebody will share something with me, a picture or something, and I have to log in, but that's like once every 3 months for me. My use of technology is kind of like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like I wrap myself in it. Like, I play games, or I watch TV, or, I do all that stuff through media, or I do podcasts. I enjoy editing the podcasts and working on D&D adventures and, stuff like that. I enjoy doing the research, but I'm just as likely to curl up with, I'd say I'm just as likely to curl up with a book, but even the book's on technology too. So
yeah,
I use a Kindle reader for my books, but I enjoy reading stuff like that. I enjoy reading about history and technology. And so I don't know, it's an addiction, but I don't think it's as detrimental to me as a substance abuse addiction would be, which I guess is good.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the complexities of technology withdrawal symptoms. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of your favorite gaming podcast finishing with a play?
Oh, no!
Well, check out No Credits Rolled, where we play the games but rarely finish them. How's it going, folks? I'm Sam Whalen, your friendly host at No Credits Rolled, the ultimate gaming podcast, where we dish out the latest scoops and reviews on all your beloved video games.
Hey, listen!
Not only that, but we spice things up with some guest interviews and even give you, yes, you, a chance to have your say. Tune in every other week for a fresh dose of No Credits Rolled, available on all major podcast platforms, and hit us up on social media at No Credits Rolled. So why wait? Let's dive into the gaming world together, where finishing games is optional, but the fun is guaranteed.
Welcome back to Insights into Teens. Today we're talking about technology addiction. And now we're going to discuss the complexities of technology withdrawal symptoms. The phenomenon of tech dependence among teenagers has given rise to a range of concerning symptoms, with emotional manifestations akin to those observed in substance abuse and drug withdrawal.
That too.
Delving into the intricacies of tech dependence and its withdrawal symptoms reveals the multifaceted nature of this modern challenge. Adolescents grappling with technology addiction experience profound anxiety when distanced from their digital devices, be it video games, social media, or other online platforms. This emotional response parallels the distress observed in substance abuse scenarios and drug withdrawal processes. The similarity underscores the potency of tech dependence in shaping psychological experiences.
Several telltale signs point to tech dependence among teenagers. Preoccupation with digital activities. A predominant focus on digital engagement, whether through social media or video games. There's also emotional turmoil upon separation. Feelings of sadness, anxiety, restlessness, or irritability emerge when individuals are disconnected from digital devices or the internet.
There's also inability to limit usage. Despite recognizing the problems arising from excessive technology use, the individual struggles to reduce their screen time. Then there's also diminished offline interests. Activities once enjoyed offline lose their appeal, illustrating the shift in priorities toward digital engagement. There's also dishonesty about usage, concealing the extent of technology use, including gaming or online activities, from family and others.
There's also emotional self-medication, using technology as a means to alleviate negative emotions like guilt, anxiety, and hopelessness, which is kind of what you use it for. So there might be, some things there that have to be addressed. There's also neglect of self-care. Prolonged tech use can lead to ignoring personal hygiene, eating, and other self-care routines. Finally, there's impacts on life domains. Technology dependence can have far-reaching consequences, from deteriorating job performance and relationships to academic underachievement.
Tech withdrawal is not merely a cessation of activity. It entails a complex emotional response rooted in the brain's adaptations to constant stimulation. Separation from digital devices triggers emotional distress akin to drug withdrawal.
Accentuating. Sorry, I scroll up too far.
Accentuating the hold that technology has on teenagers.
The convergence of emotional symptoms in tech dependence and substance abuse underscores the severity of technology addiction among teenagers. Recognizing these signs and understanding the psychological intricacies of tech withdrawal are crucial steps in addressing this issue. Establishing healthy tech habits, fostering digital well-being, and encouraging open conversations about the impact of technology on mental health are essential to mitigating the adverse effects of tech dependence on and fostering a balanced relationship between adolescents and their digital devices. So based on that, do you think that you use technology to escape having to deal with other anxiety-causing things in your life?
Yeah, probably.
So it might be keeping you from addressing those other things, but it's doing so in a way that's at least emotionally helpful to you, I assume. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like when you have a headache, you take aspirin, right? You don't necessarily worry about root cause analysis when you have the headache.
Yeah.
So I think if anything, it might be a case of self-medicating with technology there. I find my technology addiction really hits hard in extreme but insignificant situations. Case in point, we could be in the house watching TV in the evening during the summertime. A storm blows through and we lose power. I almost go into panic mode when that happens. And it's not because I'm addicted to video games and I can't play games or I can't check my email. Technology is a comfort to me. And in the summertime, it's very much a direct comfort to me because of air conditioning, because I can't stand the heat.
Yep.
So if it's at like 9 o'clock at night and we lose power, I'm freaking out because I know I'm going to be up all night long because I can't sleep in the heat. Or here's another great example. So if the internet goes out, in our area, there's not a lot of competition. So we have Comcast, and Comcast isn't the most reliable internet in the world. They go down from time to time. And when they go down and I don't have my connectivity, it drives me insane to the point that we went out and got a backup internet with T-Mobile's home internet. So now if Comcast goes down, at least we still have an interconnection. So that's probably a prime way to highlight my internet or my technology addiction. This episode's really more for my benefit, I think, than it is for you.
Fair enough.
Have you ever felt anxious or upset when you couldn't use a digital device?
I mean, probably indirectly. It's more in the sense of I use that technology typically when I'm home and I'm away from everybody and I'm, in a period of I'm just going to rest right now because I just had a really stressful day and I really don't want to be around anybody or do something that isn't this right now.
So it's almost like that's how you recharge your battery. You separate yourself from the world, from all the troubles, all the stuff that annoyed you today. You go off, you take your phone, and whether it's listening to music or watching videos or whatever it is, excuse me. Sounds like it's a form of meditation for you, is it not?
Pretty much, yeah, that's what it is.
Do you find that ultimately it helps you in the long run get through difficult times?
I mean, yeah, it's like if I was like emotionally distressed during the day, I'm usually able to kind of get over it through that in a way that I wouldn't be able to if I wasn't allowed to step away from everything.
Okay. Now, when things are really rough, I mean, there have been weeks that you've come home multiple days from school and you've been stressed out. When you think about your daily activities, have you noticed a shift in your interest away from offline activities that you once enjoyed because the technology gives you that comfort level where you may have done something around the house or something with mom and dad or something like that, and you just weren't up for that and you kind of needed that you space, and the technology wins out in situations like that?
I don't really think it's entirely based on the technology because I think it's just kind of a natural response at this point because it's like and obviously it's nothing against you guys or any of my friends, but I've noticed that I kind of have been isolating myself more. And even if the technology is part of that isolation, I think it's also just because of the fact that, like, I don't really think anyone else can really help, and being around other people, either I don't want to show them how I'm feeling, because if I show them, they're not going to really know how to deal with it, and then we're both going to be not great. And then the other thing is just like, they wouldn't really know how to go through this because I don't know how to go through this. So it's like, if I isolate myself from people, and like, even technology hasn't worked in certain instances when it comes to stating my anxieties and so forth, but it's the best thing I've got right now. So,
and I think that makes sense. I know we've talked in the past about how you have a tendency to bottle things up because you don't want to be a burden to other people. And it sounds like this is one of those situations where instead of you feeling like you're a burden to someone else, this is your chance to kind of go off and deal with it yourself. And I think it sounds like whether it's the technology, and when we say technology for you, it's not social media. It's some video games, but you're not big on video games. But a lot of your artwork is done using technology. And that kind of counts in this situation. But it sounds like it's a therapeutic thing for you, where it allows you to go off, have that time to yourself, deal with the issues, recharge, and then you can come back and not that you are a burden to us. And it's important to point that out. Mommy and Daddy are here to help if we can. I understand how you don't want to burden us with these problems because you are trying to deal with them yourself. And that in and of itself is admirable. But it sounds like this is a good way to help you through that, where I hate the idea that you have a problem or that you're upset about something and you go off on your own. And I hate the idea of you having to deal with it on your own. And it sounds like you don't. It sounds like this just happens to be something that you use to help out with those things. And that's a good thing. I mean, I think you're constructively using the technology in a way that most kids your age aren't doing it. Most kids your age, the technology tends to be a source of the problem, not a source of a solution for it or a coping mechanism. So I think that's a good thing. Have you ever found yourself using technology to deal with negative feelings or to escape from stressful situations as a means of avoidance? Or is it just a means of getting some level of distance from a problem so that you can then handle it better?
It's kind of both. Sometimes I want to ignore what goes on because, like, it's still going to be there when I get back and I still don't know how to handle it. And then other times it's usually just a way to, like, step back and have some time to, like, just think for myself.
Now, have you ever actually used technology in a way to address any of these issues? Whether it's research or reaching out to someone else, or maybe commuting with an online community for help or anything like that, or any self-help stuff that you may be using the technology for, where it's actually helping you to solve the problems? Or is it really just a coping mechanism and a dealing with it type thing?
Really just a coping mechanism. Like, I am kind of seeing counselors, so, but I'm not really the one that typically messages them. I usually tell mommy to, like, say, like, hey, I want to meet with them at blah, 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 blah. And usually she does the whole thing with that. For the most part, I don't really do any of the research or anything like that.
Okay. Well, and the reason I ask is there's a lot of resources out there, and we talk about a lot of them here, where when we go and do research for the shows, we find these resources online that, if nothing else, they might offer you some advice, some clarity. I know one of the troubles that we all run into when we have these kinds of anxiety-ridden days is, one, labeling the problems, identifying the problems, labeling them, and then dealing with them. And there's ways that technology can actually help you with that with some of the online communities. So that might be a worthwhile direction to go at some point in time too, just to do your own research and do a little bit of reading on it and educate yourself on some of these things too, to take what you're doing already as a constructive use of technology to the next step. Let's take our last break, and when we come back, we'll talk about depression and technology dependence and much more. We got a lot more to talk about. We'll be right back.
Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Our husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom. We'll look at the interesting and obscure entertainment news of the week. We'll talk about theme park and pop culture news. We'll give you the latest and greatest on pop culture conventions. We'll give you a deep dive into Disney, Star Wars, and much more. Check out our video episodes at youtube.com/insightsintothings. Our audio episodes at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com, or check us out on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Welcome back to Insights into Teens. Today we're talking about technology addiction, and now we're going to talk about depression and technology dependence. Existing research underscores a clear correlation between technology engagement and mental well-being, specifically concerning adolescents who partake in social media and video gaming. However, experts remain uncertain about the directional relationship between teen depression and technology. It's unclear whether excessive tech usage triggers depression or if heightened tech consumption is indicative of underlying depression. This complex interaction fosters a self-reinforcing style that contributes to the emergence of technology addiction.
The book Glow Kids, How Screen Addiction is Hijacking Our Kids and How to Break the Trance discusses the concept of technology dependence. According to this perspective, addiction's essence lies not solely in the specific substance or behavior, but in a confluence of underlying factors, including genetics, psychology, environment, and neurobiology, which collectively make an individual susceptible to addiction.
Within the realm of technology dependence, individuals experiencing isolation and emotional distress are particularly prone to seeking refuge in on-screen experiences, offering an avenue for escapism and connection. Additionally, the idea is raised that exposure to digital experiences may act as a stepping stone to other forms of addictive substances, presenting a potential escalation in addictive behaviors.
The intricate relationship between depression and technology dependence poses a complicated puzzle, with the causative direction remaining uncertain. These insights, coupled with expert perspectives, highlight the intricate web of factors contributing to technology addiction. Acknowledging this intricate link is pivotal to devising comprehensive strategies that address both prevention and intervention, ultimately fostering healthier interactions between adolescents and the digital domain.
Addressing technology addiction. The initial step in mitigating technology addiction involves reducing dependence on the internet. Notably, technology can play a paradoxical role in aiding avoidance of addiction. A notable study tested a tool that utilized smartphone vibrations as reminders, effectively limiting excessive engagement with a social media app. This method led to a substantial 20% reduction in app usage, demonstrating technology's potential to counteract its own addictive nature.
A digital detox holds promise in assisting adolescents to diminish their reliance on technology. By disengaging from the perpetual stimuli offered by the digital realm, teens provide their nervous systems with the opportunity to regain equilibrium. The process of unplugging opens avenues for real-world experiences, facilitating connections with peers, immersing in nature, and engaging in physical activities.
Establishing healthy routines concerning technology uses is paramount for adolescents. However, recognizing the gravity of severe technology addiction is essential. Comparable to substance addiction, profound tech dependence often signifies underlying issues encompassing trauma, self-esteem challenges, attachment complexities, and depression.
Addressing severe technology addiction requires professional intervention paralleling substance abuse treatment. Programs tailored for teenagers address the core emotional triggers. A fusion of clinical methodologies and experiential therapy equips adolescents to overcome tech addiction by instilling equilibrium and fostering constructive coping mechanisms.
A comprehensive strategy to combat technology addiction incorporates early prevention, harnessing technology for self-regulation, digital detoxification, establishment of positive habits, and targeted professional intervention when necessary. Recognizing technology addictions as a symptom of deeper emotional struggles empowers adolescents to confront underlying issues while forging a harmonious relationship with technology. The journey to recovery involves not just disengaging from screens, but also reconnecting with genuine experiences, cultivating resilience, and paving a path towards sustained well-being.
So have you noticed any changes in your mood or feelings when you spend a lot of time on technology, playing video games or watching videos or anything?
Yeah, typically I feel more relaxed and calm, and I feel like I'm not entirely anxious most of the time. I also, can feel happy at times as well if with like a certain video or a certain game I'm playing.
So it sounds like it has the exact opposite effect that it has on those who have a technology addiction. Would you agree with that?
I guess so, yeah.
So what are some activities or hobbies that you do enjoy doing outside of technology?
Well, technically I have started drawing, but like not on my tablet. I've been like drawing some stuff like in school when I'm not able to be on like my tablet and so forth. I have like toys that I might occasionally play with. I have the cats that I spend time with, and we also do like fun stuff with them. We go out and, go to like shows and so forth. I sometimes go out and hang out with friends. It's not as often as it used to be, but like I do that. There's times when I kind of like hang out with my friends and we're not entirely playing video games. We kind of just talk to each other.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that you really don't suffer from technology addiction. All the warning signs that we've talked about here and your typical behavior and use of technology seem to speak the exact opposite, that for you, technology is a therapeutic type of activity. I would say keep up the good work with it. I mean, there's been a couple of times where you may have been listening to music or something like that, and you didn't hear mommy or I call you, and that kind of was a bit of annoyance, but you've solved that problem by not, keeping both headphones in at the same time. And we've worked around any problems we've ever had with technology with you. And, the funny thing is you never ask for technology. Any technology that you have is stuff that I got for you. So I think you're okay. I think if anything, I probably need more help than you do when it comes to technology addiction. What do you think?
I mean, I would say you are probably more addicted to it, at least in the sense of, how like when you get hooked on a drug, you have to constantly continue pouring money into it. I'm pretty sure that's kind of you at this point.
Well, that I think my problem is I tend to be a addictive personality in general.
Mm-hmm.
So usually anything that I get into, I usually go all in.
Which, that was also how D&D worked at that point.
Yeah.
That was also how it worked when I was in marching band and you needed to get, stuff to film me.
Yeah, when I used to play Star Wars miniatures, it was the same thing. It's like anything that I do, when I did the guild the Star Wars Guild for my online game. Whenever I got invested in something, I'm fully invested in it. And technology is probably no different. If anything, technology is an enabler for me.
Probably.
So I'm a cautionary tale to the kids out there. Don't be like me. I think that was all we had today. Let's take our final quick break. We'll come back and we'll get your closing thoughts and finish up with the business of the podcast. We'll be right back.
So to everyone out there, I just want to say that, again, like everything in life, I'm pretty sure I've said this plenty of times on the podcast, you need a good balance of it. Technology is a good thing, and it can be a good thing in a lot of different instances, but it can also be a kind of a bad thing if you're too addicted to it. And it can, spread negatives. So finding a healthy balance between how much you're online and how much you're offline, as well as what you enjoy online and what you enjoy offline, I feel like is a good way to live.
I think that is sound advice as always. And before we go, I do want to once again invite our listening and viewing audience to subscribe to the podcast. You can get audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Teens. Audio and video of all the network's podcasts can be found as Insights into Things. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, etc. I would also invite you to give us some feedback. Email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. Hit us up on Twitter or X at insights_things. You can also find high-res versions of all of our videos on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings. We do stream 5 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/insightsintothings. If you happen to be an Amazon Prime subscriber, you do get a free monthly Twitch Prime subscription. We'd appreciate it if you threw that our way. It helps us keep the lights on here. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast and Instagram at instagram.com/insightsintothings, or links to all those and more on our official website at www.insightsintothings.com. And you.
And don't forget to check out our other two podcasts, Insights and Entertainment, typically hosted by you and Mommy, and Insights into Tomorrow, typically hosted by you and my brother Sam.
And don't forget to check out our other affiliate podcast hosted by Sam, No Credits Rolled, about video games that you love to play but never seem to finish.
Yep.
That's it. Another one in the books.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Your hosts are Joseph and Madison Whalen, a father and daughter team making their way through the challenges of the teenage years.
Welcome to Insights into Teens. This is episode 190, Catching Up. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my caught up but little behind co-host, Madison Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Nice adjectives there. Clearly, you didn't write those in.
Yeah, I didn't. I had confident and aware, but, didn't really fit the theme today.
Fair enough.
So how you doing today, Maddie?
I'm all right.
Okay. So we've been off the air for quite some time now. We've been out of the studio for an extended period of time. We are looking to get back into things, hopefully to get back into a regular schedule of things. But our intention is to change things up a little bit. So instead of doing a more script-driven approach to the podcast where we read and comment and stuff, we're going to try a more conversational approach. The topics that we've got coming up are ones that you actually had come up with. So what are some of the ones that we've got coming up?
Well, some of the ones, all of them kind of relate to the idea of growing up, because I'm kind of in that stage right now. So figure it was a good place to go at that point. And technically, you know, I'm around the age of being I am technically a senior now in high school, even though I'm not currently in high school.
Right.
But, you know, got the senior portraits for it, so.
So it's official. You've taken a picture. You're a senior.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know how this works. I always just thought that once you actually got to school, you moved up to your class. But mommy always said that, like, no, after you graduate.
You're technically promoted at the end of your last class.
Yeah.
End of your last semester, I guess.
I suppose so.
Or you're not. I mean, not everybody is. So.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
So a lot of the I don't know, what are the concerns, the anxiety drivers, the pressures of growing up. That's
all accurate statements.
That's a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about in the next 10 episodes. But I figured it would probably be good for us to sort of sit down and catch up on some of the things that have been going on since we've been off the air, some of the interesting things that are coming up, and some of the fun things that we've done. So that's what today's episode is going to be. And then our next episode will get into the anxiety-ridden aspects of growing up too fast.
Well, hopefully we start off at least a little bit like gentle. I don't want to get into the hard hitters like immediately.
Yeah, we'll try and stay away from the hard hitters as much as possible, or at least make them easier. The idea behind these podcast episodes is not to induce anxiety, which is something that we have to kind of get away from.
Yep.
Before we do that, though, I do want to take a moment to invite all of our listening and viewing audience to subscribe to the podcast if you don't already do so. If you don't do so, what are you doing? Come on, subscribe already, will you? You can reach us at, or you can find us rather, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, not Stitcher, I got to take it off the script. RIP Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. You can find audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Teens, or you can find audio and video versions of all the network's podcasts listed as Insights into Things. We would also invite you to write in. I am looking to get a call-in line that we can use. Might not be able to do it live during the recording because we don't always record on a steady schedule. But what we can do is make a number available and let folks leave voicemails for us so we can feature the voicemails on the show and answer questions and so forth. But for right now, you can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can find us on X. I won't refer to it as Twitter from this point forward. It is X, which I don't even really use all that much anymore, to be honest with you. But we're on there at insights_things. You can find high-res videos on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings. And we still do stream 5 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/insightsintothings. Shall we get into it?
Sure.
Here we go. So I wanted to start off talking about some school-related stuff. School year's out now. We had some interesting events come up. So the first one is the prom. So you went to a junior-senior prom at your school. Is that correct?
Yes, I did, and I went as a junior.
So how did that work out for you? What were your thoughts? What was your experience? Did you enjoy it? Will you be going to your senior prom?
Okay, so I don't know if I've made it clear on the podcast before, but I think I've become much more of an introvert.
I think you've made
as
that
of
very
late.
clear over the
I was going to say,
history of the podcast.
pretty sure I've made it clear. And to those unaware, which I'd assume most aren't, but the junior senior prom is like the big school dance and so forth, where like you're not at your school, you go to like the one place we went to was like very nice. It had like this one outdoor area. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was like it had like a really nice garden. There was a bridge. There was like a really cool dome outside. So it had like a beautiful outdoor area, and the indoor area was nice as well. So, it's like a big school dance. Now, I'm not one to go to dances. The only ever dance I went to at school was during 6th grade, and that's when we all were in the very small cafeteria gym area, and there wasn't a bunch of us because there were like 4 6th grade classes, so really there weren't a bunch of people, and like I enjoyed my time there. But obviously, that was only for 6th grade. This one is for both juniors and seniors in high school. And it's also supposed to be, bigger, fancier, and so forth. And, like, our school does, homecoming dances and so forth, but I never went to those, mainly my first 2 years because of band, and then later on just because I don't like socializing. So it really did not make too much sense for me to go to my senior prom, but my one friend who was a senior wanted me to go so that, I could still like spend some time with her in her last year of high school, which makes sense.
Okay.
I also had other friends going, so it would have worked out. So I got dressed up nice. I had a nice blazer, black pants, and a nice rainbow sequenced shirt, which it was a nice outfit, and I got my hair done. And
yeah, you looked very nice. Unfortunately, I didn't think to grab a picture that we could do here, but we have prom pictures. We just haven't posted anything up online yet.
Yeah, and probably not as much as you had hoped, or at least Mommy had hoped for me to get, because one of her things is that I need to start taking pictures more.
Right.
And it was kind of hard to do because prom was very overwhelming for me, because like there were 2 main areas. One area where like the dance floor and all the music was, as well as like the chairs where you eat, and then another where like all the food would come in, and everyone first like came in, and they were like a couple of different like picture stations and so forth. I got overwhelmed in both rooms. The one larger room because I just felt like there were just so many people around, because the thing is, I get claustrophobic when there's people around, but not when I'm by myself. Like, I can sit in a closet and be totally fine, even if I'm crammed. But if I'm in a larger space with multiple people, I all of a sudden feel claustrophobic. And then when I went to the other room, they were blasting the music, and, like, you had to scream for anyone to hear anything. And, like, my other sense was kind of in overdrive, and I had to kind of switch between the rooms because it just was not comfortable. And at one point in the room with the music, the lights started to change, so my sight was also, getting overstimulated. And thankfully, the one friend who was the senior that wanted me to go saw how I was acting and ended up asking, like, one of the teachers, like, hey, is there, like, a safe room where, like, me, her, and it was one of her other friends where we can all go? Because I didn't want to be alone, but I also didn't want to be in a giant room full of people.
So it's probably worth noting briefly that you're what's referred to as a highly sensitive person. Or at least
likely.
That's what we suspect. And there's a lot of people out there, people your age and in all age ranges, that are highly sensitive. And even to a certain extent, I am too. Like in large congregations or in loud areas, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I have a difficult time hearing things and so forth. And a lot of public venues now, in fact, a couple of conventions that we've gone to, have, what are they? Not sensory deprivation, but like quiet rooms.
Yeah.
And the quiet rooms are really basically someplace that someone who's overwhelmed by what's going on can kind of go in there. It's not noisy. You don't have flashing lights. You don't have people bothering you. It gives you a chance to decompress and chill out before you go back in and digest things again. So they had or they came up with something like this
Yeah,
at the prom.
Yeah, basically, we were sent out into the one outdoor area because when the dance technically started, like, they ended up blocking the area off. But the one teacher, like, said that there was either that or, like, there was an indoor room. And, like, me and my other friends were like, yeah, can we, like, go out? And they allowed us out, and we were allowed to go and, like, get food and so forth. So we pretty much spent the entire time out there. And then eventually 2 other people who were kind of overstimulated by everything also ended up coming out. And I was able to bond with all of them because, like, I'm fine with smaller groups of people, but in larger groups, I can't. And it was also really nice outside. It wasn't too warm, wasn't too cold. So everyone was able to kind of just, like, chill out basically, and it was much less anxiety inducing. But the only thing that happened, and we stayed out there for pretty much the entire prom outside of, like, going inside for dessert around the time that it was ending, and that's kind of when the anxiety ramped up again. Also, when I pretended to actually be a part of the prom and try and take pictures, because, like, I went into the room at one point, but the music was so loud and the lights were flashing that I'm like, nope. And then I just stood partly outside the doors, zoomed in my camera, and pretended to take pictures like I was inside. So
bottom line, was it a good experience? Are you glad you did it or no?
I'm glad they had something else out there so that I could, I was like, the time I spent with my one friend and the other kids was definitely, like, the highlight of it because it was, the most calming part of it, and I felt fine with it. The food was pretty good, though I don't actually think I'm going to be doing my senior prom because,
that was going to be my next question.
Because the whole point is kind of to be inside and doing the dancing, and it's like I don't know if it's going to be the same venue next year, and I don't know if there's going to be another place like it. They would be, but, like, you don't really go there to not socialize and so forth, so I didn't really get...
Well, it's just not your jam, and there's nothing wrong with it. I never went to either junior or senior prom.
At least I can say I have the notch on my belt for it, so...
There you go. That's something, right?
Yep.
So school is out. How did you wind up for the end of the year, class-wise, grade-wise?
I got all A's, pretty much.
Well, that's a shocker there, because you never get A's.
I know it. I know. Big shock.
It's amazing, I know. So where was your ranking?
I was 3rd in my class out of, like, 200-something kids.
Okay.
Maybe 300.
That's pretty impressive. So you're done, right? So you're done for this year.
Yep.
You're still in the engineering academy. Going into your senior year, what classes are you going into now? Or is there any classes that you're looking forward to? I know you're looking forward to not being in a history class this year.
Yeah, that is true. I am thankful I'm no longer in history. I'll admit that was probably one of the worst classes I had last year, mixed with the other engineering class I had the period before that. So, but they were terrible for different reasons.
So what are you looking forward to next year?
Well, I'm looking forward to not having, like, a constant array of certain classes. Like, thankfully, I don't have any more history. I unfortunately still have to take a science because, my schedule got screwed up my sophomore year. But granted, knowing what kind of chemistry class I could have had that year, I'm kind of grateful I had it my junior year. So I'm kind of grateful I have biology now, so at least I won't be stuck with the kids I was stuck with freshman year and so forth, because I'm likely already going to have to be stuck with them in my other engineering class, and having 2 class periods with them without the one friend I had in my first few years, I'd be much... I don't know if I could really stay sane after that. I know I have to take calculus, advanced calculus technically. I don't really know what to think about it. Pre-calc was all right. The teacher was nice, but, like, it was definitely, like, a different type of math, but I was still able to do fine in it, so.
All right. Well, it sounds like it's kind of a wait-and-see type attitude.
I am kind of looking forward to, like, the not technically academic classes I'm taking, like cooking and so forth, because at least those'll... I'm not going to be cruising my final year, obviously, but, like, it'll be cruising considering how many other advanced classes I had last year.
Right.
And honestly, after junior year, I'm kind of just looking for any type of break at this point.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. You also took your SATs. So now, it's probably worth mentioning that our approach to your SATs this time around was you were testing the waters. You weren't going out of your way to take pre-tests. You weren't going out of your way to study. It was literally show up, do the test, and see where you stand and see what you have to focus on to study on. So in doing that, before we talk about what you scored on the tests, how did you find the test? How did you find the process? Was it complicated? Was it overwhelming? Is there advice that you could give to other students who might not have taken the test yet? What are your overall thoughts on it?
I mean, the way that I did it, the process, at least to get there and so forth, was honestly pretty simple. Everyone was honestly really nice, and it wasn't, at least for me, it wasn't a stressful environment. I didn't entirely like the idea of taking the SAT, but and I don't know how stressful it was for other kids who were taking it more seriously. Not that I wasn't taking it seriously, it was just I wasn't riding on it as much as a lot of other kids were, or at least, having had studied and, hoping to get a good grade on it and so forth.
And overall, our approach to it was you're going to take these, you're going to see where you're at, and then next year you'll really take them, and that'll be the ones that we use for college for you.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of pressure on you going in. It was literally just show up, check the boxes, and see where you wind up with your knowledge.
Yeah.
Where'd you wind up?
1270, I think.
Was it 1270?
It was 12 something, 1270 or 1250. I don't quite remember.
Out of how much?
I think 1600, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So are you happy with what you got?
I mean, I guess considering, I had no preparation for it.
And I think that's really the context in which we have to look at it. Is you literally went in there blind, took the test, and really came out with a score that a lot of kids would envy who, busted their butts to try to study for. But we're going to take them again next year. We're going to look at the areas that need improvement. We're going to study on those and improve those and see where we wind up. And whichever test is highest, we'll take that.
And if this ends up being the highest, I still think it'd be a good,
what you scored was nothing to be ashamed of. That's for sure. And I think Mom and I were thoroughly impressed with where you wound up. So I think we're happy with your SAT so far. And the last thing I did want to talk about with school is you guys are planning your senior trip for next year. So where are you going? Are you excited? Are you interested? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I think, for our senior trip for our school, our school always does a couple of days at Universal and Disney World, Florida. Although I can probably just say Disney World because I don't know if any place else calls it Disney World.
Other world.
And I am kind of excited, not entirely for the Disney stuff because I've been more times than years I've been alive. So
we'll make sure we edit that part out so Mommy doesn't hear that.
I mean, it's not that I'm not excited. It's just I've been there so many times. I mean, I'll definitely help out anyone that doesn't know the ropes.
Yeah, you're going to be like a professional tour guide. You've been there so often.
But I've never been to Universal, and I am kind of excited, mostly because I hear there's a SpongeBob store, so...
I heard that, yeah.
So, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'll obviously also check out the rides outside of the one Harry Potter one, because I hear there's the giant spider in it, so I'd rather not.
Well, and that's the thing. It's a shame that you're not a Harry Potter fan because it's a huge Harry Potter attraction, too.
Yeah.
So, all in all, you think you had a good school year? Straight A's, excellent scoring your SATs, You you survived the prom. I'll give you that.
I mean, that's all I can really say. I survived. That's all.
Right.
Outside of like the grades and so forth, like if we take all that out and I just talk about my experience with it, I'm just going to say I survived 11th grade.
Okay.
Did I enjoy it? Not really. It was a very stressful year. I'll just say that much. It was probably the worst year in high school I've ever had.
Well, hopefully next year won't be nearly as bad.
And hopefully this year stays the worst year in high school I've had.
Let's hope. We're going to take a quick break right now, and then we're going to come back and recap some recent events that we thought were interesting. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of your favorite gaming podcast finishing with a play?
Oh, no!
Well, check out No Credits Rolled, where we play the games but rarely finish them. How's it going, folks? I'm Sam Whalen, your friendly host at No Credits Rolled, the ultimate gaming podcast, where we dish out the latest scoops and reviews on all your beloved video games.
Hey, listen!
Not only that, but we spice things up with some guest interviews and even give you, yes, you, a chance to have your say. Tune in every other week for a fresh dose of No Credits Rolled, available on all major podcast platforms, and hit us up on social media at No Credits Rolled. So why wait? Let's dive into the gaming world together, where finishing games is optional, but the fun is guaranteed.
Welcome back to Insights into Teens. This is episode 190, catching up. So we did have some interesting recent events go on, one of which happened to be some highlighting of your artwork. So let me just set this one up. You have a very unique art style that you tend to turn towards a lot of pop culture type stuff. You've made a lot of pictures, custom artwork for birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. And you made one for Mommy for Mother's Day. Was it Mother's Day? You sure? Okay, so it was for her birthday. Yeah, because it was posted back in February. And Mommy is a big fan of Svengoolie, which we get here locally on MeTV. And Svengoolie is kind of like a campy variety horror type show that, you know, they show old movies and they do funny skits with it and stuff like that. But one of the things they do is they invite you to provide your own artwork or pictures, and they'll post it up on their website and on the show. And you had done one for Mommy that was themed to Svengoolie. Why don't you introduce the actual artwork for us, what you did, what was involved?
Okay, so I wanted to obviously draw something for my mom's birthday, and one of the ideas was, well, you suggested the idea of drawing something based on Svengoolie because they were starting to like show artwork that was submitted to them, and you figured that when I finished it, I could also submit it there as well. So basically, what I ended up doing was I wanted to add, while I don't always watch the show, I have enough knowledge about it, so I wanted to add a couple of little nods to it. So obviously there's Sven in his regular outfit. There's also the one chicken puppet he has, and I don't know if like the one floating green skull guy is still there, but he's there as well. He's holding his one shield that blocks the rubber chickens. He's also sitting in his coffin, and he also has a spear. It's supposed to be a stake, and and on it actually says like for Dracula, but it's pinning like a dead chicken head on it. And then behind him there's like various iconic like older horror movie characters like Dracula, Frankenstein and Frankenstein's Bride, the Invisible Man, as well as the sea monster.
So for our viewing audience watching the video, we have a shot of it here. It's the actual it's Madison holding the actual artwork, and in the background is the episode from June 15th of Svengoolie, in which they highlighted it. They did a big intro and got our name mentioned. And what was really funny about it was Mommy has a number of friends who watch Svengoolie, some of whom she didn't know watched Svengoolie. And when they heard that it was our town with your name, all of a sudden her feed starts erupting with everyone wondering if it was really you. Was it your artwork? Congratulations, stuff like that. So there were a lot of accolades that came your way from the actual event itself.
Yeah, and of course, I heard Mommy screaming when it ended up coming on and telling me and you to both come and see. So we ended up watching the whole exchange as well.
So how does that make you feel to actually have your artwork featured on a show like that and getting some attention?
It feels good, I guess, because I'm not super public with my art. I do eventually want to see if I can be a little more public with my art, but I'm still kind of working that out. But having it actually pop up on television and be acknowledged by a show, it's definitely it felt good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So one of the other things from our holidays, usually the Mother's Day, it was a tradition that I had started literally before you were born, making Mother's Day movies so we could kind of capture all the images from the year, or at least a lot of images from the year, and show you growing up through the year. So for quite some time, I made these videos, and relatively recently, in the last couple of years, you started making them in my stead, so that you could put your own spin, your own artistic touch to it. So this year you did two. You did one for Mommy for Mother's Day. And you also, technically you did two for that because you did the highlight reel as well.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Which was hilarious. And then you did one for me as well. So this new genre of video editing that you're getting into. Talk about that a little bit and what appeals to you and what's involved with it? Okay,
so obviously I've gotten into video editing a bit more, and I feel it feels like it's an interesting hobby for me, I think. I like the idea of taking an audio and then various images and then putting the images together to match with the audio. I feel it is almost kind of like the musician in me who likes visuals when it comes to certain music beats. And I feel like there's an element of that in it because a lot of the videos I've made have had some sort of song with them. So I always when there's various pictures, I always cut it to a certain beat, or I have the image or video relating to something that's being sung or something that you hear and so forth. And I really like that. I feel like it is a very creative medium because you're making an entire video and then you can look back and watch it and see it all together pretty much. I'm able to tune them all to the beats. I can zoom in, zoom out, move the images along to make the video look more like a video and not just static images and so forth.
Yeah, it's interesting because nowadays the technology exists to make video editing for the novice very easy. Even on, if you did yours on a Mac, most of the video editing I do in Adobe Pro for the podcast on a PC. But iMovie on the Mac or Final Cut Pro on the Mac has an automatic effect called the Ken Burns effect that allows you to take a static picture, add a little bit of motion, some cropping, some cutting, some movement to it, and it gives it more of a lifelike feel to it. But that's really only part of what it takes to make these videos. One of the things that you point out is timing the videos. So you've got a soundtrack to the video. And in order for the video itself to work, your transitions has to be timed. And while you can apply a Ken Burns effect to all the clips that you have in there, and it'll do all the moves and transitions and all that, It doesn't do it to the timing of the beat. And knowing that, and knowing how you want to cut this up and how you want to arrange this is one of the things that really is an art form. And it's something that takes time, and it takes a certain eye and a certain ear for. And I'd play them for the audience, unfortunately, but we'd get a takedown notice because we don't have the rights to the actual music that you have on there. So we can't really get the effect that we're looking for. But it's worth knowing that it's not just about putting a bunch of clips together and throwing a Ken Burns effect on it. It's about taking the time, arranging the clips, and timing the clips and the transitions to the musical beat itself is what the art form is. Plus, you go through and you review, hundreds of pictures from the whole year and pick the pictures that are best going to tell the story that you want to tell.
Yeah.
So it's another really good way for you to express yourself artistically, and you're very good at it.
Thank you.
So the next thing that we had was actually last weekend, was it? Yeah, last weekend we had kind of a health scare. So I got out of the shower on a Saturday morning, and I found you writhing in pain on the hallway floor with severe abdominal pain. Take it from there and tell us the story.
Okay, so you found me there on the floor, and so I ended up waking up that morning, and for some reason, my lower right side on my stomach was like, I felt pain there, and it didn't feel like any cramps I would have expected, like normally as a woman, obviously. And it ended up like getting worse over time. I tried like getting up to see if I could, like, what was going on. It was kind of a way to orient myself and to see if I just like slept on it wrong, or, if I needed to like do something. And then at one point I kind of tried to just go back upstairs, and I ended up kind of just falling to the ground at the top of the stairs, writhing in pain, where you found me. And you ended up getting me to my room, and I kind of told you how I was feeling, because if, like, putting pressure on it in certain instances would stop the pain, but then it would immediately shoot up in other areas. And, like, we had a couple of different theories. We initially thought it was menstrual cramps, which I took medicine for. That wasn't helping. We then thought it was a gas bubble because, putting pressure on it, it would move and so forth. So we figured I had to, get it out pretty much. But pretty much trying to do anything with that wasn't helping, and I ended up shifting between the bedroom and the bathroom, trying to find a way to get comfortable, and I just wasn't able to. Mommy had gone out at this point to get Gas X, so that, hopefully that would help. I tried it once and puked it all up. We tried it was a couple hours later. My mom had given me some orange juice with what was the thing that was put in there?
It was a laxative that was put in.
Yeah, and I was keeping,
in case it was a constipation situation.
Yeah, which we also thought that was possibly that. So she gave me that. I was keeping that down fine. So then she said, and since it still wasn't getting any better, she told me, okay, why don't you take another one of those? I tried eating it slowly because they were chewable stuff. Still came out. And
wrong way.
Well, yeah, the wrong way. And after that, we kind of just determined that, no, you're still in pain. Nothing's helping. We're taking you to urgent care.
So we take you to urgent care, and you go back there. You're in pain. They take your vitals. They do this. They check your temperature and all this stuff. And their response basically was, you might have appendicitis. We can't help you with that. You have to go to the hospital. Which I have to tell you, the experiences that I've had with urgent care make me wonder why they exist.
Yeah.
If you don't have a cold, then they can't do anything for you.
I mean, yeah, and I still remember when I ended up busting my knees during marching band, and like we weren't sure if I'd broken them or not because I was limping. They said, okay, well, we have to send you to another urgent care because they have an x-ray or something. And it was like a traveling back and forth, and it's like, why don't all of you have this? This is urgent care. Like, what?
So we wind up at the hospital. You wind up getting an ultrasound, an MRI, and various other vital tests and stuff that they do. And what did they come back with?
The good news was that it wasn't appendicitis, and the bad news, which technically relating to the possibility of appendicitis wasn't bad news, I had a tiny kidney stone.
So you had kidney stones, which I had years ago. I had 2 occasions where I had them, and I can attest to the fact you feel like you're dying. The pain is so bad, you feel like something ruptured inside of you. So they gave you fluids. They gave you some medicine for anti-nausea and basically sent you home with a strainer and said, here, pee through this until you capture it.
Yeah.
Which really is the only thing they can do. They did give you pain medicine at the hospital. They gave you initially morphine, and they gave you something less than that afterwards. How do you feel now? How are you doing now?
Well, I had started taking pain medicine when we got back, but, over-the-counter stuff. I've been doing fine, honestly. I haven't felt the pain since. So, thankfully, after that scare, I think I've been doing fine.
That's good. That's good. So the next big thing that we got coming up here is Wednesday of next week.
Yep.
You get to get up at like 2:00 in the morning or something to go to the airport. You're flying out. Where's your connecting flight? San Francisco?
San Francisco
So you're flying from Philly to San Francisco, and then from San Francisco to Kyoto? Osaka. So you're heading to Japan. Tell us what's going to happen in Japan. What kind of fun are you going to have?
Okay, so there's a couple of different things planned. I don't remember the entire schedule. I probably should because, it's less than a week away. But basically, we have a bunch of different stuff. We're gonna start off in Osaka. We're gonna head to a couple of different areas as well. I think Kyoto and Tokyo are like the next big areas. We're gonna be able to take the bullet train, which
I am so jealous about.
Yeah. We're also gonna go to Mount Fuji and experience some of that. I think they mentioned that there might be like an amusement park we might do, and then an
amusement park. Really, just some random one?
Well, it's not the one that you're thinking of right now.
Oh.
And then they originally put out and like there's also going to be like downtime where we can get our own foods. There's also like scheduled foods where we're all going to be eating together. We have a bunch of different hotels we're going to be staying at. And then another thing that they had like just recently put out was that the main teacher behind it and like the tour guides are trying to find. We're making like excursion time where there was potential to go to Tokyo Disneyland.
Which was like, yes, please, twice.
Yeah.
So mommy was very upset that she wasn't a chaperone on this, but she was very excited that she has someone going to Tokyo Disney to buy her a bunch of Haunted Mansion stuff.
So
are you excited?
Yeah, in multiple ways, I guess. Terrified, mostly.
This is kind of like the prom. It's kind of outside your comfort zone quite a bit here.
Yeah, it's like I've traveled before, but never out of the country and never to Japan, so...
Yeah, this should be fun. I think you're going to have a good time. I think you're going to really enjoy it. I don't know how much you're going to learn, but have fun. That's the important thing.
Yep.
We're going to take our second break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a very special event that we attended this weekend. We'll be right back.
Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Our husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom. look at the interesting and obscure entertainment news of the week. We'll talk about theme park and pop culture news. We'll give you the latest and greatest on pop culture conventions. We'll give you a deep dive into Disney, Star Wars, and much more. Check out our video episodes at youtube.com/insightsintothings. Our audio episodes at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com, or check us out on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Welcome to Insights into Teens. We are catching up on this episode 190 before we get into the more terrifying aspects of growing up too fast. So this weekend we went to a pop culture convention, which isn't unusual for us. We go to quite a few of them. This one was a gaming-centric one. And the main reason, or the main impetus for us going to this one, was because they had a series of voice actors there from a game that you and I and Sam
And some of my friends.
Not so much Mommy, but some of your friends play passionately. And you have how many hours into the game right now on Steam?
Well, on my computer, but that doesn't at all account for PlayStation because we have multiple. 468 hours, probably got more because I put more hours in since I checked last.
And I think I had 767 or something like that.
Something like that.
So, and again, that's just through Steam. That's not through the PlayStation because we've, as a household, have purchased this game 4 separate times now. And that game, which if you listen to any podcast that Sam does or Sam and I do, you would know already, is Baldur's Gate 3, which is by far the best game ever made in history as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
It did win the best game of the year. But we went to see some of the stars of the show, of the game, I should say, not the show.
Not really a show.
Not really a show. But we went to see, the convention was Too Many Games, I think, with a number of guests that a lot of people probably would recognize some of the names, Steve Bloom being one of them, probably one of the most famous voice actors out there. But we went to see Neil Newbon, who plays
Astarion,
and who won Best Actor award at Video Game Awards. We went to see Samantha Bayard, who plays our favorite character in the game, who is
Karlach.
And we went to see someone who I did not see any kind of resemblance to her character when we met her, Maggie Robertson, who plays
Orin.
Right. So we've never, and I have to kind of preface this, we've never gone to any of these conventions to pay for signatures. It's just, I don't do hero worship. I don't do celebrity worship type stuff. So I've always had a hard time paying people to sign a piece of paper or a photo or whatever. This wasn't that hard for me. It was difficult justifying the first one, but the experience more than paid for it. So the first one, we didn't even do anything to the show really at all.
Yeah.
We spent about 4 hours there just trying to get the signatures. And the first one we got was Maggie Robertson's. Tell us about that. How was that for you? How was the whole experience?
Well, I had initial timidness, I'm not going to lie, because it's not even the fact that they're, the voice actors of my favorite game ever, but it was mainly just the fact of being an introvert, expecting to meet people. Like, I can meet someone normally and be totally fine, and, it didn't even matter, who they were. Being expected to meet and introduce myself to someone else, it's anxiety kind of was at this point. So, she was obviously the first one we ended up seeing, and you actually like talked to someone else initially to like get the payments through.
Yeah, they all have handlers, so you pay through them, and they kind of set the scenario up for the celebrity there.
And the one Maggie had was honestly very nice and helped to...
Daisy was awesome.
Yeah. She helped to like she almost helped to loosen me up to like prepare to speak with Maggie and so forth. And Maggie herself was very kind and also very funny. She was actually she was the only voice actor that actually like came with her own art, because like she ended up drawing two pieces of art. One was like a vampire heart, and the other was Gerald the butler, the ghost butler.
So it's also worth noting that one of the things that you did for the show was related to the artwork that we talked about earlier. You have made several pieces of custom Baldur's Gate 3 art for different occasions.
5 at this point.
And we took those with us to get signed, but you also took an extra copy to give to each of the voice actors. How did Maggie react when you told her you were giving her a copy?
When I told her I was giving her a copy, she actually asked me to sign it.
Yeah.
So basically, when she was signing hers for me, I was signing mine for her.
Did you charge her $60 for it?
No.
So you should have.
I don't. I don't think I'm popular enough to do that. I'm good. I'm fine. I don't need to charge for that.
But she was awesome. She was so warm and so welcoming and funny and charismatic. She did her custom artwork for you. She even did a custom artwork on a sticky note for you.
That was Gerald.
It was such a heartwarming experience to see. Like, she saw how nervous you were, and she went out of her way to try to make it comfortable and enjoyable for you. What was your overall impression of Maggie?
Very nice. I liked her. Definitely, like, not like. She actually plays more like evil characters outside of Orin, and Orin is supposed to be like one of the most evil characters in the game, but she was like probably the most cheerful.
And what was funny was she never slipped into character, so you never got to see how she played the character, which probably is a good thing, because the character Orin is kind of a psychopathic killer in the game, so you didn't want her slipping into that character. But like, Mommy started playing the game, but never got up to the point to seeing that character. So she didn't recognize the voice, didn't recognize the character. So after we got Maggie's signature, we went to get in line for Samantha Bayard, who we were originally there for, because she's our favorite character. Had some timing issues with that, so we jumped in line for Neil's, and we're in line for a little bit there, and he went for a food break, so we got a number to come back, and we got in right away after that. What was your experience with Neil, with Astarion?
Okay, so while Astarion isn't like